Hey all, so today we're going to look at how to install Kali Linux. And what is Kali Linux? It's a penetration testing distribution, and it's basically often used for computer forensics, reverse engineering, security research, etc. Now, terms and conditions here. The tools available in Kali Linux, if you use them incorrectly, you can go to prison. That's right. Don't just use any tool in here and click around, because if you do it and you mess something up, because the tools are quite powerful, you can literally go to prison, right? I do not support nor do I endorse, and I won't be held responsible for anyone that misuses any of the tools shown in Kali Linux or in this video, right? I'm not going to show you how all the individual tools work. I'm just going to show from the installation portion and a general overview. If you want additional information on this distro, please read up on their website. They have documentation, right? They have forums, they have courses, right? Because the idea is for this type of distro is that you actually are studying penetration testing, or you're studying to be a specific security researcher, or you already work in that field. That is when you would use Kali Linux. The idea of Kali Linux is not to install it so you can snoop on your neighbor's Wi-Fi or something like that. No, no. So please be responsible, and let's move on. Hey all. So now that I've read the right act about Kali Linux, Kali Linux is actually a based on Debian Linux. So let's get started here. Kali Linux is actually based on Debian. I'm just going to select Debian 11 as a template. We give this also 5 gigs of RAM. Great. And let it start up. They now offer graphical install. So let's see if that works. Cannot open the display. I've had this before when I've tried it. So let's just delete that and do it again, and let's do the text installer. I've tested it once before on, it was actually VirtualBox and it did the same thing. So I want you to see if it would work. Yeah, so let's just do install, and the install will install using the old-fashioned Debian text CLI installer. So English, US, America. Okay, that's just selecting regions and locations and all that jazz. So we'll go through this together now while it automatically loads additional components. So let's get on to the next step. So it can automatically configure itself with IP settings, get an IP. Right, looks like DHCP is working. And then it should give us additional options coming up in a moment. So let's be patient there. Yeah, I'll just use Kali as my host name, that's fine. Continue. Domain name, I'm not going to put in a domain name here. My user, yeah. Full name, yeah. I'll put in my full user. Gosh, my username will be Gosh. I will put in a very strong password. No, I don't want to show my strong password in the clear. Select my time zone. Eastern is fine. Doesn't really matter too much right now. And of course, what it's busy doing, it's just busy going to ask us now, how do we want to Storage, so let's use entire disk, VirtualBox disk. What I like here is it actually gives the option if you want your home partition and your via temp into different partitions. Um, Ideally, you would want to have your home partition separate, so in case you need to do a reinstallation, you don't need to reinstall all and redo all your configuration and all that. But let's just do this all in one and finish these changes. We're going to write them to disk, and then I'm going to install the base system. So let's chat a bit. A couple of people, and I've been reading online, have asked the question: can you use Kali Linux as a daily Linux distro? Now, yes, you can. You can. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, it's a version of Debian that's had additional software added to it. Should you use it as a daily distro? No, it's not meant for that. It's meant for penetration testing and security related stuff. It doesn't make sense to use it as your daily distro. Kali is available on so many things now, images, virtual machines, even on Android there's an app now, or a version of Kali. Yes, they don't all have the same features, but it's just available everywhere. That I don't understand why someone would use this as a daily distro. From a normal user's basis, there's if you're not going to use additional tools, yeah, then you might as well go install normal Debian or Ubuntu or MX Linux even would be better. So please don't. If you want to use a daily distro, don't use this. It's not meant for it. Using this as a daily distro is like, can you get to work every day on a bus? Yes. Can you buy your own bus? Yes. Can you get to work every day and ride your own bus if you have a license? Yes, you can. Should you? No. In that case, you'd probably rather buy a car. Same thing here. Uh, Desktop interface. So by default, they use XFCE. You can choose GNOME or KDE, and I'm just going to leave this here as the default, which includes their tools. It would be a bit pointless to install Kali Linux without using the Kali Linux tools. As you can see, a really quick installation. That's often the joys of installing from this type of interface. I will be honest with you, I kind of miss installing distros from this type of interface. I know a lot of distros like Ubuntu, if you install the server based, it will look like this. Uh, Red Hat as well. So, um, but again, mostly everything today is on Linux installs for workstation machines is graphically installed, and of course, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, I think what I'm going to do here is while apt-get does its installation, I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back and it's moved on to the next step where it's asking us, do we want to install grab the bootloader to the primary drive? Yes, we do. And this is the drive we're going to install it to. And of course, if we didn't have grab installed, we can't boot the distro. So that again would be a little bit pointless. Glad to see it's installing Qemu agents, etc. So why does this distro exist? Well, of course, it's created to have multiple tools specifically for each genre, all available in one place and one location. So now, technically speaking, all of the tools you find here on Kali Linux, you could install on any Linux distro. Possibly not with ease, let's be realistic, but you could. Like, if you wanted this, you could go and install Debian install XFCE on Debian, add some themes, and manually install all of these applications. You could do that, right? Would you do that? Well, no. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do that, but you could. So, nice little boot screen here. And let's just wait for it to load up, and then I'll fix the resolution. Nice startup graphics there. Oh, and of course, my username. We all know my name is Gosh. And we all know I use incredibly strong passwords. In real life, I do, of course. It's just in videos, it's just a little bit pointless. Okay, so here's the default XFCE interface. First thing I'm going to do is go to desktop settings. No. Oh gosh, of course not. Applications. I just need to find settings here. Settings manager. And let's go to display and select a resolution that we can all actually see. And keep this, and let's go back to all settings. So starting off in the all settings, in here, and as you can see here, this is the standard settings interface that you get with XFCE. So you install XFCE on another distro, you get to get most of these, except for the Kali Linux tweets. Right, so Kali Linux tweets basically allows you to harden the install for extra security, install additional subsets of tools, possibly additional shells, and additional configurations for virtual machines, which we're not going to do today. So again, the normal interface here, and of course this is after you've installed Kali Linux, what you get. So Kali Linux breaks it down into user applications. User applications, of course, would be your internet stuff, your multimedia, your office, system, all of this type of stuff. So out of interest here, uh, really not using too much memory, using 837 megs, CPU usage 1. Again, this is, of course, it's running on XFCE. The kernel would be, so I would just go and say uname dash a, uname dash a, and you can see it's one of the newer kernels, 516. Here, so let's close it up there. File system, normal general layout over here, nothing special or anything to hide here. So of course these are the usual applications that you see, and you would be able to go and install. If you need to install additional software, you can just use apt-get. So I'll just demo that quickly then. Sudo apt-get install, and I'm just assuming it's available. VLC. Right, do we want to continue? Yes. And it's just getting what extra packages it needs there. And you can see here, of course, it has predefined different virtual desktops available. I don't think they have a graphical interface to install more software, do they? No, I don't think they do, but I guess that's easy enough to install. You could go ahead and install whatever, like GNOME software, if you wanted a graphical interface, or Synaptic Manager. Or, as you can see here, I just did an apt-get. So while I wait for that to go down here, so you'll see here what they've done is they've actually gone and um, categorized the additional tools, right? And of course, you move over it, and it gives you the name of a specific tool, or a range of tools that you could use, right? Like information gathering, um, all of this stuff. And some of them, of course, have subcategories as well. So let's say I was to choose this, it would just be a subcategory, subcategories, right? If you needed to do whatever you needed to do, you can see all of these tools are really nicely organized. So it would be not as easy to organize this on yourself. So hence, one of the really good ways or reasons to use this distro for research and security purposes only, not for any non professional stuff. So again, don't use this distro for any illegal activities, and even if you play with it or you work around with it, using any of these tools incorrectly, you can end up being on the wrong side of the law. And unfortunately, not having knowledge or ignorance is not an excuse. So I know it's probably pretty annoying at this point, but I just needed to give that disclaimer out again. So you should use this distro, not the everyday person. If you are busy studying, security courses or penetration courses, they will specifically tell you to use Kali Linux. If you are a developer, specifically around it or need some of these tools, go ahead. Everyday Linux user, no, you don't need this distro. Do not install this distro. In fact, if you see this distro run 1,000 miles away, um, or if you're a normal user, then just use a normal standard Linux distro. So use something like a normal Debian, or use Ubuntu or Zorin or Mint or whatever. So these repos are actually pretty slow, but what would happen is later on, if I was to go back to the menu and go to user applications and the multimedia, you would then actually see VLC listed there. For more information on Kali Linux, I suggest going to the website kalilinux.org. And yeah, if you use the distro or have any additional info, please let us know. Otherwise, thanks for watching.